Hello Facebook family. I decided to do a video. It's more for venting sake than anything else, so bear with me and I apologize in advance if it ends up being a long video. But I want to say that not all fertility clinics are equal or made the same or ran the same, and of course you guys probably know that, but I just wanted to vent. When we originally decided to try IVF one more time, we initially were planning on doing a January-February cycle, but we had to push it back because we were going to be out of the state right when it would have been time to transfer the embryos, and that wasn't anything that we could change, so we moved our cycle to February-March. Well, February-March came, and that's when we decided to take our little vacation just to get, de-stress. So we moved it to March-April, which is where we are now. Of course, when we did all the initial paperwork in January, you have to sign your consents, and then they give you a price, of how much it's going to cost, and there's a deadline, that you have to get all that paid and done before, the official cycle starts, or before your baseline ultrasound and blood work. And for me, that is scheduled for March 31st in the morning. And I hadn't really heard anything. I kept in contact with one of the IVF nurses, and we are using the Tulsa Fertility Center, by the way. I believe that's the only one in our area. There may be a fertility clinic, I'm pretty sure. I haven't really looked in Oklahoma City, but that still would have been a 2-hour drive. So the closest one to us, which really is just down the road, is the Tulsa Fertility Clinic. But anyway, they have a patient portal where you sign in and they have all your stuff there. And that's also how you communicate with the staff. Now, you can't email everyone. You can email, your doctor's nurse. You can email the fertility girls, and honestly I think that's about it. So I knew that we were approaching my baseline date, and I also knew from the previous January that the deadline for payment and all that was probably pretty close to being near, and I hadn't heard anything from the clinic. So I sent an email to the fertility nurse and just said, hey, can you please get the financial department to give me a call so I can find out again how much I need to send and prepare for payment. And that was on the 18th of March, or maybe I sent my email late on the 17th. And so on the 20th, I finally had time to log back in and just see, because I hadn't heard anything and no one had called me. So I logged back in to see about, if she had replied, or maybe financial sent me an email, so, just giving me the information I was requesting. Well, what I got in return was an email from the fertility nurse just saying that, that she would put in the computer to note a task or something so that financial could get a hold of me, and then she mentioned the due date of March 20th. And she replied on March 18th, the following morning, I believe. So I looked at the calendar, and of course it was March 20th, and I'm not one to, wait till the last minute to pay bills. I'm just not like that. I get them done quickly, and usually as soon as they get here I get them paid, or sometimes I even pay them before they get here. So I was a little bit irritated because nobody had called me. So of course I called them, got on the phone, left a voicemail with one of the financial girls, basically saying, hey, I sent an email, nobody called me, I just checked my email and it's saying that today's the due date, but no one's called me. So she called me back, and I said, I don't know these things. I'm the patient. I don't know how things were run. I need someone to communicate with me. And she was just trying to say, well, it's your job to call us and make sure that all that stuff's done. She's like, when you moved your cycle from January to March, it changed all that. And of course, when we first were going to do our cycle, we had to attend an education meeting, and in that they talked about certain things, and that's kind of what you do right before. Well, since we already done that, we didn't have to do that for March. So we were kind of out of the loop, but I had been keeping contact with the IVF girl. And so, I mentioned that. I said, I sent a message asking her for you guys to contact me, and you guys didn't contact me. And now the due date is today, and now it's going to make me look like I'm not taking care of my business. Because for that amount of money, you have to, use a cashier's check. They don't do wire transfers, and, that stuff takes a little bit of time. So I knew that it was going to be a couple of days. But anyway, she put me on hold for a while, and then she finally came back on, and she said, well, I'm going to give you until Monday to get the payment. Now, this was Thursday, I believe. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I will do the best that I can to get, my bank to mail you that check, to get there by Monday. I'll expedite it. I said, but, what if it doesn't get there till Tuesday? You're telling me we can't do the cycle? And she's like, well, you can just call me on Monday, and if it doesn't, then we'll make that decision. But, I'm giving you an extension. I'm like, well, now you're making me sound like I did something wrong, and I didn't. I said, you guys dropped the ball. Apparently, the fertility nurse never sent word to them to contact me. So anyway, I said, fine, we'll get that taken care of, and then I'll call you on Monday to see if you guys got the check. So and then I said, she mentioned the consents, since they were from January. You couldn't use them, you had to redo them, which we had the consents, and the way they do it is either you have to sign together in front of them at their office, or you have to sign in front of a notary. And I don't know where the notaries are where I live, but John has one at his job. So, and she was out all last week, so we were already planning on Monday to get over there, get those signed, and then get them to her. And so I said, my baseline appointment isn't until the 31st. We're getting the consent signed on Monday, and I'll bring them in whenever I come in for my baseline, which she said that was fine. So we got that issue taken care of. Well, the next day, the other IVF nurse, who I hadn't been in contact with, called me and was saying that they hadn't gotten my consents, and that the consents were due on the same day as the money, which no one told me that either. So I said, I told the financial girl that I would bring them in whenever we came in, and she's like, well, they're due on this date. And I said, well, we're not even going to get them signed till Monday because our notary isn't out until then. And I said, why are you really calling me right now? I said, no one's communicating with me. That was something that you could have mentioned to me yesterday, or even a week before everything's due, instead of calling everyone the day after. And she's like, well, whenever you emailed Hannah, who's the other IVF nurse, and told her, that was in February 16th, whenever you emailed her and told her that your period started, and she emailed you back to start the birth control pills, she mentioned then that the due dates were March 20th. And I'm like, okay, well, a lot of things happened since then. I've got a lot of other things on my plate besides waiting for the IVF cycle to start. I'm still trying to finish my last semester of nursing school for my bachelor's. We just had spring break with my sons, and I'm trying to prepare myself for the Mrs. United States pageant that's in July. So I have a lot of things going on. Plus, our extracurricular activities that we do, going to the hockey games and taking skating lessons. I've got a lot. It's not like I'm sitting at home doing nothing waiting for IVF to start. And the fact that I sent an email on the 18th asking them about the deadline, obviously that proves that I didn't know when it was, or I didn't remember, or I didn't go back and check every email that was ever sent to me to see if she had told me that. So I was just very irritated. I said, she's like, I said, we'll get them signed on Monday. That's as soon as we can do it. I said, my husband's a physician. It's not like he can drop everything and run to Tulsa, with us together and get them signed. That's why we're using a notary. I said, but then I'll either have them fax them or, I'll go drop them off or mail them. And she's like, well, they have to be originals. I'm like, well, fine, whatever. I'll go drop them off or I'll mail them. She's like, but they have to be here before the 31st, which I think is dumb. As long as they're there before anything is done, then that should be good enough. That really is dumb, stupid. But, they don't communicate with each other in the different departments. It just wasn't like that when I used Dr. Bello. She kept us up to date. It was easy to get calls through, and they would reply, and they gave you a calendar, and, you knew what it was expected of you when. And a side note to that is, there's an unspoken rule, I guess. I don't really want to call it a rule, but there's this unspoken thing between medical professionals. And every other physician, every other professional that I've ever dealt with that knew my husband was a doctor, they always call it a professional courtesy. They might give you a discount, on certain whatever it is you're having done. They might not charge you your copay, just as a professional. It's one professional to professional. And since I am married to one, I would get those benefits. And Dr. Bello did it. I believe she gave us a 20% discount. My primary physician never charged us for the copays. Little things, which is just courtesy. It's not really like you say, hey. Even when I went to see a dermatologist for a consult, not a dermatologist, I think it was a cosmetics surgeon, for tattoo removal, he even didn't charge me the consultation fee. So it's one of those things. Now, this office hasn't offered anything. Now, we're doing everything out of pocket. We don't have fertility insurance. So I'm just irritated. So when I go in to do my baseline, or the next time I'm in the room with the actual physician, I am going to complain. And I am going to tell her, this is crap. If it wasn't for the fact that you're the only fertility clinic in our area, we would go somewhere else. A fertility clinic that I've heard a lot of good things about, and we would use if we were closer, or if they had a location close to us, would be the Shady Grove Fertility Center, or Fertility Clinic. I'm not sure. It's Shady Grove. They do that share risk program where you pay $20,000 and they will do 6 IVF cycles, and if you don't end up with the baby by the end of that, they will reimburse you. I wish more fertility clinics would do that, and I just hate that they're where they are, and I'm where I am, that I can't really utilize them. But anyway, that's my venting for the day. I'm sorry the video's so long. I really try not to make them long, but this kind of had something I just had to explain. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your comments, your prayers, and I really appreciate all that. It really means a lot to me. I hope that we have success now. In the event that we are successful with our IVF cycle, if I become pregnant from that, because that's something we've been doing for years, then I will probably have to drop out of the pageant that I'm preparing for, and I'm totally okay with that because baby's more of a priority than any pageant. So anyway, thank you so much. I hope that you guys have a great weekend and stay safe, and thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.